good day, good afternoon, good night. How you doing? This is MCM and you're listening to You're Probably Right. Today we are going to have a serious conversation. Well, maybe not a serious conversation, but there's going to be a serious talk happening here. Now, of course, I'm only doing the talking, but just stay tuned. Yo, here we go. What up, y'all? This is MCM, and you're listening to You're Probably Right. Let's see. I think we're going to do something different. Who knows why? Welcome to episode 176 of You're Probably Right podcast. Today, this episode is a reflection on honesty, caring for others, and what it means to do good when nobody's watching. You know, a lot of people think that when you're genuinely kind or honest, you must have some hidden agenda. They assume there's an angle, a way that, you're trying to get ahead or, gain favor, or some would say ingratiate himself with someone else. But what if doing the right thing is just that, the right thing to do? Today, I want to explore what happens when you drop the, performance whole side of things. When being good and being honest aren't about impressing anyone or tricking anyone or ticking any boxes. It's about something deeper, Remember, this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Hopefully there's no fact-finding people out there just trying to find out stuff. And I'm eating a freezy, y'all. Yeah, I probably can't do that the whole time in your ear, so don't worry about it. Well, hopefully you got yourself something to eat and, or something to drink or whatever it is, or, or maybe you're just relaxing from a long day. A lot of us have long days. And when those days are afoot, they're really long days. Forget about it. Check it out, y'all. So I'm going to answer some questions about it, and hopefully these questions will, explain something to you, or, affirm some type of idea or narrative, I guess, that you have in your own brain about things. If you think I'm wrong, well, guess what? You're probably right. Remember, this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. No stories, no anything are necessarily 100% accurate. I do try to give my 2 cents here and there, obviously, because I'm the only person talking, but sorry. At the same time, I am a Christian. So my beliefs, the way I see the world is coming from a Christian lens. Not saying that I'm a perfect Christian and I do the right thing or say the right thing or I have the right mindset all the time. No. But the basis where the things that I believe to be true come from the Holy Bible, the 66 books of the Bible, not the 58 or the 78 or whatever it is, 66 books of the Bible. First Genesis, last is Revelations. There's no Maccabees in there. What's the other one? What was it called again? Yeah. The Gospel according to Jude, or no, it's not Jude. I can't remember. Oh, the according to Enoch or whatever that was. No book of Enoch in there either. Just saying. Okay. Anyhow, some people always say, "What the heck is this guy talking about?" I don't know. Check your Bible out. Okay. First question, and I'm gonna try to be as honest. I mean, there's a few things I really feel like getting off my chest right now that would do me good, but at the same time, I don't think would do anybody else good. And the funny thing about that is, I did this podcast to leave some sort of a verbal, I guess, legacy or some sort of a I was here kind of thing for my kids, maybe grandkids even, or who knows. And I don't know why I did this freezy thing. It's like you start the freezy, and then you can't stop eating freezy. Okay, I'm done. Well, check it out. I did this as a sort of a therapy for myself. I think as well. After going through the things with my family, sicknesses and deaths of my sister and my mother, um, I just look at things a lot different now. You know, it's the easiest, I guess, the simplest way I could say it. Okay, so anyway, first question: what does it mean to genuinely care for others without expecting anything in return? How do you think people perceive someone who does good things for the sake of doing good, and why do they often assume ulterior motives? I think I'll answer that part first. I think I just believe that people believe that people look at the world the way they do. Now, who's they? Think about it. The bottom line is, I believe that man is born and shaped in iniquity. We are destined to sin right from the womb. I know that people called their children little angels, as somebody said once. I think it was John MacArthur. But have you ever noticed, if you have a 3, 4 year old who can talk and they can do things, and they know they did something wrong? Okay, if they were a little angel, would their first inclination to say, I didn't do it, to lie? Would the first inclination when, say, a little child got scratched in the face, sometimes they freak out and they scratch their face again, or they lash out and freak out. Sometimes psychologists, I think they say that the reason why the people call it terrible twos is because that is the age of rage in a human being, the amount of rage that is literally set up in your chest. And it's not like the first inclination is to be honest or to be nice. It's to wail, like you can't wail, cry. Um, the bottom line is that I believe we're sinners from birth, as the Bible says. So our first inclination is to do something wrong. It's to hide it. It's to lash out. It's to scoff. There's so many different things that we have just born in us that I think that's the reason why people think that most people are doing something for something. I know I said I would. So most people just believe that others are just bent on getting something out of the situation, not just giving. But I believe, when you genuinely care, and you care for others, it doesn't really, you can't compare the care you have for yourself and the care you have for others. There's people out here who care to a fault about others. Have you ever had a bill that you really couldn't afford, that wasn't your bill, but you still kept on paying it? And although you're paying this bill and you literally can't afford to pay this bill, you're just paying the bill, and you're just deep digging yourself a deeper ditch and a deeper ditch. And it takes a lot of care and concern for others from one aspect of things, because generally in those cases where you have to go that far, the reason is generally because you don't care for yourself, and probably the person you're caring for doesn't care for you either, if you really want to be honest about it. And that says, like, maybe you'll endure a lot of hardship. Maybe you won't be able to eat properly. Maybe you won't be able to get yourself a pair of shoes. Maybe there's a lot of pain involved. But because you care so much, you will do more. It's kind of like, let's just say something happened in the build. You were in a building, and somehow the side of your building, if you close your eyes, if you can't close your eyes, because you might be able to envision this a little bit better, but just envision that hopefully you're not driving because that's just crazy. Okay. And listen, just in case, I mean, I've seen some weirder things happen in this world. If you are driving and you're listening to this episode, then please pause this until later when you're not driving and you're just sitting in a room somewhere or in bed or something. But anyhow, imagine, like, just to know the care and concern some people have for others. You're in a room and you're with your baby, you're with the most precious person, maybe if you have a child or if you had children, or maybe a loved one or whatever it is. And let's just say the side of the building gets ripped off and you're on the 15th floor, and somehow you ended up sliding to one edge, kind of like one of those bad boy movies or something like that. And just as you're about to go over, and just as you and the person you care about the most on this planet, whoever that is right now, if you think about him, fall off, you are able to hook your pinky toe on your left foot on a piece of something and wiggle yourself right to the end, and you catch the other person in the right arm. So there you are, hanging off the edge, and you're holding on, obviously, that whatever you caught, maybe a piece of fabric or something, whatever it is, for dear life. And you also have the other person in your right arm and you're holding on. If your arm started to break or your arm pulled out of the socket or something, I guarantee you would hold on as long as you can, no matter what that pain is. And probably just the thought of losing this person would probably overshadow that pain. Now, obviously, that's an extreme measure, but if you are willing to stay in a situation where it's causing you pain, but you know that you're helping someone else, you would just do it. And, that's when you genuinely care. Now, I can't say how healthy that is. Well, it's obviously not healthy because it's to your detriment. And someone willing to die for someone else in whatever way, obviously the extreme way is to just straight up die for that person, right? Like Jesus, he died for our sins. Where what I'm saying is, maybe you have your financial situation set a certain way, and for whatever reason there's this person who keeps coming and borrowing from you, or someone who's just counting on you to pay this bill for them that you can't afford and they can't afford. But if the bill is paid, it gives them another month, or it gives them another year, or it gives them another 5 years on whatever it is they have that's important for the necessity of their life. Even if it's not putting them way over, you're literally keeping that person afloat while dragging yourself down to the very depths of whatever it is. Then that is caring for someone genuinely. The question is, are you doing that for the right person? There is no tomorrow after tomorrow if God says there isn't going to be one. And you got to look at who you are sacrificing for and the principles that you've decided to sacrifice. Because many times people have you doing things that you shouldn't do. And a lot of the time they're allowing you to do those things because they don't care about you half as much as you care about them. Not even close. A lot of the time, less than 25% of how, and obviously I'm just putting percentages out there, but I believe someone knows, people know when they're giving way too much to a situation, hoping in most cases foolishly for things to change better. So in other words, the more I break myself for you, for some reason, there's many of us who believe that the more you are broken for someone else is the more that they will care for you. But for some reason, it never happens that way. when you break yourself for someone, most of the time, they will continue to hurt you. If you're willing to do that to yourself, then why wouldn't they? You're willing to be a carpet walked over. You're willing to just be looked over and passed. The more you do that, the worse it's going to get. And that's reality. And that's what you can talk, or people can think about when they think about the story of Jesus. He gave himself knowing that we would still keep sinning. He did that knowing that many would not believe in his name and who he is. He did that knowing that we didn't deserve it. And I believe that's genuine love. Sometimes, it says greater love has no one, and it says hath no one, that I remember in the old King James Version. Greater love hath no one than he that lay down his life for a friend. And it's more than the quick decision. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like, people say, would you jump in front of a bullet for me? Would you do that for me? But generally, if somebody does jump into a burning building or jump in front of a bullet, usually those are like, just quick decisions. There's not a lot of contemplation. There's generally not even a lot of suffering before the impact of whatever it is, even if it is life altering or life taking. Usually that's like a jump in front of the bullet, dead. Jump into the house, you got to run now. You got to do whatever you're doing now at this point because fire is trying to catch your tail. You understand? So it's different than, say, someone knows that they're going up to something that is going to hurt, that is possibly going to take their life or alter it in some way that it will be basically transformed and never the same, if not taken altogether, but a slow decision. So when somebody is enduring, in other words, very slow pain, most cases totally unnecessary, but sometimes necessary, and they're still willing to take it, that's genuinely caring for someone. The question is it the right person that you're doing that for? Number 2, have you ever been misunderstood for acts of kindness or honesty? How did it make you feel when people assumed you had some sort of a hidden agenda? I can say the times that it's happened to me, it didn't really make me feel any way. I just felt awkward. I felt, well, I guess I did feel a way. I felt like, how do I prove my innocence? Like, I honestly just did this because I wanted to do something good for someone else. And I felt a sense of responsibility. That's generally what I feel, a sense of responsibility when I'm doing something for someone else. Like, that's really costing me a lot of something. Here's an instance where I've said before. I was in a situation that I was helping take care of a child that wasn't my own child, and I was just assisting. It wasn't like that child was my responsibility. And this kid, for whatever reason, because they're a kid, I guess, messed themselves is the best way I'll say, from the back end. And this person's caregivers could not make it to get this child on time. Right? Now, this isn't at my job. But I just happened to be in this place, and at the end of the day, this kid needed clean clothes to wear. I don't know if I could do it otherwise, but what I did was I think I put on a pair of gloves or two. I think I might have double layered or whatever it is, but I literally had to wash that child's clothes clean enough with soap and everything like that, and enough for them to be able to wear them. Wet and all, but it was better than the alternative, like wrapping newspaper around the kid. But you know what I mean? Like I didn't do it for anything, and I did get like, why did you do it? Why did you do it? Or I've had times when I've given something or given an excessive amount or like that I shouldn't normally even be able to afford many times, and I just do it. And I'm not honestly trying to toot my own horn or whatever it is, but like you just care for people, and it is weird when you get caught in that. Maybe people didn't think that you really cared that much, so it didn't even make sense that you were doing what you're doing. So then it was almost like no matter what you could say to them, they would just believe you're doing that for something. You're trying to get something. And I guess it bugged me at the time. Like it really feels awkward, but I kind of just moved past it. Now I know every once in a while, like now I'm talking about it, I'm thinking about a few situations that's happened lately. But the funny thing is the stuff that they say that you want to get for doing this, it wouldn't even be worth it. Even if I was that type of person, it wouldn't even be worth it. But yeah, it's strange. I know I didn't really finish that thought, but it's okay. Why do you think many people expect others to have angle or hidden motives when they are being nice? And I said, because people generally do. People generally want something, it'd be like, Dad, can I'm going to shovel the snow. Can you take me to the mall after? Or I'm going to wash the dishes. Can you help me with fixing this thing afterwards? Or I'm going to wash the dishes. Can you cook me my favorite meal? Or I'm going to take the garbage out. What do you think about later? Or I'm going to do this and do that for the kids. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to let you sleep. And I'm going to take the kids to school or whatever it is. And then there's usually an ulterior motive. Now, of course, we've all been there when we're trying to give to get something, even though most people would say, no, they don't ever give to get. But the funny thing is, it's not to say that you wouldn't actually just do it anyways, but you're hoping. And of course, many times, a lot of us, our hopes are not, they're not, the thing that we are asking for isn't granted, but we still do it anyway. It's sad when many of us think that we have to bargain for people to be nice to us, or bargain for people to give us stuff or whatever it is. But a lot of time we do, even if we say we'll still do it anyway. It just the fact that the thought was there in the first place, that maybe if I do this, the person might do this. But in generally, sometimes you do it and you're being a martyr, as they call it. And it's not really a good thing, and sometimes it is a good thing, because sometimes the cause is truly worthy of the suffering and the pain it's going to cause. But sometimes you have someone who's doing it to themselves, mashing and destroying themselves because they get some sort of pleasure out of somebody seeing them suffer. And they get some sort of pleasure out of the bragging rights to say, yes, I did this, or never to say it, but somebody else says it and toots it for you, right? Toots that horn for you. But many people do like that. And I guess it's sad. Let's see. It's kind of funny how people do just to have that other agenda. But yeah. Anyhow, how does honesty change when you get older, especially when you no longer have anyone to impress? It definitely changes. Now that my parents are gone, there's I guess there's a sense of honesty, loyalty, that just isn't there to anybody anymore. And even for my kids, like obviously you try to not embarrass your children or whatever the case is, but at the same time, it's like for me personally, it's like I want my kids to know me for 100% of who I am. I don't want to be out here giving them some type of narrative, which I remember from people ahead of me in my family. Um, you know, the thing was to impress your parents, to impress your bloodline, to impress your blood, for everybody to think that you're something. But now, with your own kids, it's kind of like, I mean, for me, I just desire for them to know who I am, and that's part of the reason why I have this podcast. It's like there's no hiding any little bits and pieces really of me. Honestly, if somebody were to sit there and they were able to take in and grasp the stuff properly that I've expressed on this podcast, you would know exactly who I am. But do you think I don't know that my kids have that much time or care? You know what I mean? And I don't think anybody else really does either. But yeah, there are some pretty soft points here and there that I explain because, a lot of the time I like to explain things from my heart. I believe that when I do that, no matter what I'm talking about, it seems to get to the other person's heart. So you tend to give the real. And people usually, even if they're, oblivious to many different things, they tend to feel you. It's kind of like that, those raw emotions of anger or probably lust or whatever it is. People can actually feel that in their chest. And so I try to be, that way for for people. I try to be as real. I don't have anybody to impress, but I do want connection. And if I can make somebody feel better about a situation, if I can explain something and get through to someone who was being, either wasn't really being necessarily ignorant, but was totally ignorant of something, so ignorant of it that they didn't believe that it could be looked at in another way. And if I am able to effect change a little bit in someone like that for the right reason, then I'll be on top of the moon, whenever that happens. And I felt it a few times, and it's really cool. Is there freedom in honesty, and what kind of weight does it lift from you? I guess a weight or a burden, to know that you don't have to remember. I mean, I guess not remember, but you don't have to remember how something goes when you're telling an honest story. You know what I mean? Like, let's just say you're a little kid and you're like 8 years old and you remember getting punched in your eye. Like, actually, when I was in grade 1, me and my friend Robert were running opposite ways down this hallway that actually had a glass. I remember it was a glass. Like, probably there was like a garden. They have the buildings with the gardens right in the middle of the building. Like, there's like a square at one point, and there's a garden outside shining down. Yeah. Actually, maybe I can't remember. Anyway, all I know is me and Robert were running down the hallway. Robert F. from Brookbanks Public School. We're running opposite ways down the hallway, and we smacked into each other. Our eyes, and what I remember was, it was my left eye. I tried to run to the right of him, and I guess he tried to run to the other side of me, and we smacked into eyes. And what happened to both of us? My eye and his eye both swelled up so much, it was like one of those Rocky movies. Not where it's totally cut, but literally the top of our eyelid or whatever that part is, went directly over our eyes, so we could not see. We both had to go home. That was one of the 2 times that ever happened to me. But The funny thing is I literally remember the eye. I can like almost feel the pain in my chest, not in my actual head, but the angst, the out of breathness I felt when that happened to me. Um, Pain you remember if it's something that just happens to you. So being honest is like fully honest. Like you don't have to worry about anything because again, a story like that where I kind of lost train of thought. um, a situation like that, I don't have to remember. You know what I mean? Little bits. Like it's not hard for me to remember bits and pieces. I remember how old I was. I remember who it was. I remember what eye it was, just because it happened. Whereas, if you have to tell a little story, and lie a little bit for some reason, if somebody asks you that again in 4 5 years, you might not even remember it if you had to make up the story. But because there was some pain involved in it and a few other things, I guess we were easily remember it because it actually happened, and you just have to remember it in your mind's eye, I guess, sort of. Except you don't bring up the story and make it up and how it ended and everything. I'm sure there's a proper psychological explanation for that. And I'm sure I didn't do it justice just now, but whatever. How does transparency affect your relationships with people who are closest to you? They know what they're going to get. Sorry, I got to finish this popsicle, man. And right after this, I'm going to get some pasta. Pasta that I made. All right, where is this thing? Yeah, when you're transparent, when you're able to be transparent, then there's just nothing hidden. Obviously. I just want people to know what's up, what's out here. Generally, you grow up in these families and you be around these people who there's always something to protect, a little bit of your self-respect, a little bit of your cachet, you don't want to give up the little bit of whatever it is you think you are. So you want to afford the expensive jacket, but the only way you could afford that expensive jacket is if you bought it on eBay or Kijiji. A lot of time it's not better than anything else you bought or most other things that you bought, but for some reason that particular thing has prestige. That's like a Mercedes symbol, or like a pair of Jordans, or crown molding in your house, or the the word numbers that people get on their garages, or they were getting on their garages, or having enough money to put 16 to 20 lights around their house, shining down, LEDs, to get interlock in their driveway, to buy a Tesla when they first came out. Everything's a brag and not so humble. Everything was a stunt. Well, not for everybody, obviously, but the point is, it's so nice to just say, hey man, I got this at the thrift store. Hey man, I got this at Plato's Closet. Hey man, I only bought this because my friend has a discount at that store. I really couldn't afford it. And for me, that is so freeing, because I don't have to hold anything back. Because I've had times where I've gotten something new, just maybe a piece of clothes or shoes or something like that. Oh, I really like those. And I say, yeah, I paid $25 for it. And it's not even the thrill of saying, ooh, I got this cheaper than you can get it for. It's not that thing. It's not I got the best parking spot, and I'm not going to even leave because my parking spot's so good. It's just, I just like to be honest and keep it plain. Like, no, I'm not better than you. I don't have more money than you. I don't have any more class than you. Well, maybe I do. No, but the whole thing is I'm just being honest. And it's so nice to not have to remember things you say, because the things that you say are things that you actually remember without making an effort. So I know a few times, for instance, I've told some stories in past months probably, um, and sometimes the stories sound totally unbelievable. You know what I mean? Like when you tell somebody, yeah, I'm this way, I've always been this way, and this is how I can prove to you that I've always been this way. Here's this one situation where this happened, and she said this, and he said that, and you did this, and you got what you needed, and nobody thought it even made sense, but you got it because of the fact that you are so honest and so clear and so transparent that people trust that about you, whatever it is. Even if it wouldn't be a normal situation where they would trust someone, they trust you because of how honest and how clear and how transparent you're being. And you actually can prove that you're being honest and you're being transparent and you're being clear. You know, maybe you do, maybe you don't. Have you ever found that honesty can act as a kind of safeguard against doing the wrong thing? Yeah, I have. Um, the way I find that is if I'm honest with people and upfront. Like, you know, if I say I'm a dirty, rotten scoundrel at heart, therefore don't trust me with your wallet, chances are you're not going to trust me with your wallet. You know what I mean? Or kind of like, you know, the football, the quarterback who says, look, I'm going to snap it on hut hut, and then I'm going to throw it to the left as soon as this guy does a button hook right back at me. I'm going to put the ball right in his chest. And he's telling you that, chances are you'll be prepared for it, even if he doesn't do it. So people tend to pay attention to the stuff that you tell them. So if you tell somebody that you're a person who maybe you get your way for whatever reason, I remember it's kind of funny. What was it called in Seinfeld? The Shiksa. It was a whole thing where Elaine had this allure to her. And obviously, if you don't watch Seinfeld, you probably have to look it up. And I can't spell Shiksa. So anyhow, it happened at the end of the movie, or at the end of the episode. Sorry, there was at least 4 guys that were like drawn to her. But I think it was an over exaggeration of something that's actually true. Some people just have that allure about them when they walk into a room, when they speak to someone, when they give their undivided attention. It just seems more undivided and more attention than it does from other, like the average person is the best way I can put it, is somehow that these people are able to have a more of a connection with people in general, better than the average person. And yeah, and it's not a brag or anything like that, but it's a reality. But I mean, you know, in other words, if I tell you all the stuff that I've done wrong, the chances are right away you'll get your guard up and probably won't trust me as much as the average person would in those situations, even if, you know, and especially if I'm, you know, fighting to try not to be a certain way, fighting away not to give in to my carnal lusts or temptations or whatever it is. So therefore I say, hey, look, I'm like that. The chances are you'll arm yourself, but it'll also allow you to be disarmed because you just know what things you're just not going to cross or what ways you're not going to be around that person because they were totally honest and told you, you know, I'm this way. It's kind of like the what was it? I think let's just say the ant and no, let's see the ant and the scorpion. And I know it's not scorpion, it was something else, probably the frog or the scorpion. No, let's say it was, let's say a duck. I really can't remember. But anyway, scorpion goes to duck, and I know some of you probably know the proper story. You can look it up, but it was a scorpion and something. Anyway, he goes, hey man, I need to get across to the other side of this little stream here. Can I jump on your back and then you float me over there? The duck goes, no way, man. And this is the centipede asking him to do that. He says, no, not centipede. The scorpion. Centipede. The Scorpion says, "Yo, man, let me just hop on your back, and I'm gonna jump over onto you, and we're gonna go across the stream, and I'll be really cool to you, and I'll even maybe get you something, a little something in the bushes, a coconut or something like that, or whatever it is, or something, whatever a duck would want, or whatever it is." And he's like, "No way, man! You jump on my back, you're gonna sting me, right?" Yeah, Scorpion, I know you will. I go, "Man." He goes, "No, man, I won't." Like acting like in first person. He says, "No, man, I won't do that to you. If you could just help me to get across, you know what I mean? I know that I've done those things in the past, and you've seen me do it to other people. But you're my friend. You've known me since I was a little guy. There's no way that I could live with myself if I did that to you." So anyway, needless to say, the duck says finally he breaks him down. Scorpion jumps on his back. He goes about 95% of the way, and guess what? The Scorpion stings him, and jumps off at the same time as he's crippled, and he's at the other side of the stream. And the duck goes to the Scorpion, "Hey, man, how could you?" The Scorpion turns to him and says, as he's walking away, he says, "You know what I was from the beginning. So instead of believing the things that I said, you should have just believed who I was. So the fact that you knew is the fact that you should have also known that you were going to get stung if you ever decided to let me on your back." And the point is, I believe that sometimes when you're brutally honest, people just learn how far they can take things with you in whatever way. They know how to guard themselves. They know how to conduct themselves better when you're totally honest. When you're hiding things, people don't know how to perceive you. It's kind of like that episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when who was she from? Somehow I feel it was Tootie, but it's probably somebody else. I can't remember who it was. All I know is somebody came on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and they got locked up in the attic, and I think a can of beans or something needed to be open, or a can of corn or something, and Will couldn't do it. And then the girl said, "Look, I can do it, but I just I got these nails." And he tries, he can't do it. So then all of a sudden she snaps off each Leon press on nail or whatever it was off, and does it, and then takes them all off, puts them in his hand, and he throws them to the side going, "Ugh." Right? Or the fact that she takes out her eyelids or takes off her fake hair. Who wants to be that person? Nobody can feel good. I don't even know how women do it when they have all these fake eyelashes and fake eyeballs and fake hair, fake butts, and all this other stuff. Like, what do you do when you've bared yourself down? Is it that you believe that the person has now fallen for the trap and they can't turn back? But I would just personally rather just be honest. And as I said, it just feels so good that you can just be honest. You can just say what you think. You like somebody, you say what you think. You don't like somebody, you say what you think. Somebody comes into your presence and there's something to say, and you can just say it. Now, of course, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with having tact, or saying, or nothing, there's nothing to be said for someone who tries to spare people's feelings, not just to, like, you don't want to just say stuff just to actually hurt people. You're not just out there just being a jerk. But the fact that you can actually take the time to articulate yourself in a correct manner so that the person gets the truth, and they don't have to be totally annihilated, hurt by it. Now, even if the truth is going to hurt a little bit, there's something to be said again for somebody having a little decorum when it comes to giving the truth. You still got to worry about people's feelings, but at the same time, you still have to be the truth. And when the truth is the main thing, and that is the main thing, then keep the main thing, and everything will be cool. And the person who tells the truth will be clear and not puffed up because they have this lie that they're hiding. And the person who maybe gets scuffed up a little bit from the truth, at least they will know the truth and they can conduct themselves accordingly without any fear, because they know not to cross certain paths or certain ways. Do you think people are more or less likely to respect you when you know everything's, when they know everything about you? And I would say, yeah, it's not that you have to bear everything. It doesn't have to be warts and all. But I would like to. I'd rather tell the truth. And then you'll know somebody who's there for the truth. Some people will come around you because they want the truth, or someone is truthfully around you, not because you won $70 million, or not because are a professional athlete, or not because you do a job where you make $400 an hour and you can pay for anything, you can buy anything, you have a nice house and you have nice style and you're good looking and all these other blah 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 blah. You want somebody to be around you no matter what you look like, no matter how much money you make, no matter where you live, no matter what you have, period. That you like, there's so much comfort in knowing that an individual will still mess with you even if you had nothing. There's something so amazing to be said about stuff like that for people. Just that dwelling in honesty and dwelling in I want to be here-ness, if that was a thing. What's your biggest takeaway about honesty and caring for others now that you're at the stage that you are in life? I guess to sum it all up, I lived a life where I tried to impress my parents, or I tried not to embarrass my parents, or I tried to make my parents proud, which I don't think I did very, very often in big ways, but I did, I think, daily. Like, I remember, at this age, my dad saying, boy, you're good. You know what I mean? Because, like, he didn't think I could do it in many cases. Or when he goes, come here, let me see if you have any use. And he said that strong Jamaican accent. And then those times he'd be like trying to trick me into doing something, or going to get something. He'd like, go on, quick, and get me this thing. And I go get it. And he'd come back, go, good, thank you. And I got it back. I got the thing, whatever it is he's asking me to go get. Exactly what he asked me, and usually 2 times faster, because I wanted to make sure he knew that I had use. Just little stuff like that, or helping my mom rearrange the furniture or something like that. I remember as a kid, and her being impressed of how good the house looked, because I generally, in my teens, I would do the whole thing, and she, if anything, she might have to help me with one thing, like a long dresser or a long hutch or whatever, buffet or whatever it is. But yeah, it was cool just impressing them in those little ways. I never did anything amazing where my parents said, oh, that's my son, in front of many, many people. But I knew that the little things that I did, maybe I cooked a good meal or whatever it is, and it was really good. I knew that they were impressed and they were satisfied and they were happy that I was able to do something. So at the end of the day, I think that, and I'm just thinking about, the biggest thing about being honest, really, beyond my parents and what things were before. Now that I believe I've come into my own, I realize I'm who I'm going to be. And that might be weird, because maybe I was always trying to look at things from a different light. But I believe the more honest I am, the more truthful I am, it's the more I'm like Christ, and it's also the more I become who I'm supposed to be. So I try to really, really, really not be honest. I try to really, really not lie. So I try to be honest as much as I can, and I try to be clear and transparent, so that I don't put myself also into any situation that I don't want to be in. So, and I believe that when I do that, people will help me by steering clear of certain ways that I might have in those, like, ways that, let's just say, ways that I could take advantage of a situation that wouldn't be good for anybody else except for me. And I believe that when I say that and I act that way, then generally I don't fall into various traps that I would have fallen into long before. You know what I mean? I don't think I'll ever be fooled by uh, batting eyelashes or big brown, blue, green, any eyes. Or I don't think I'll be fooled up by anybody's personality or smile or body or anything like that. And, I try to go according to how God would want me to go, although it is not easy. We are who we are at the end of the day, and we're sinful people. But, I only want to be around people who want to be around me. That's, frank. I usually was the kind of person who would generally only be around, say, one person at a time or one friend at a time. I was that person, or no friends. I get energy from one-on-one conversations, not so much from crowds, because too many things seem to be, ricocheting off your forehead when it's kind of hard to explain. But when you have so many people and you're the center of attention, it's like you feel like you have to be on, in my world anyways. But when there's one person, there's one set of eyes, there's two people thinking, and generally there's some kind of a dance within minds that are going back and forth. So you're not generally worried about judgments if you're being honest, and that's just the coolest thing. So anyways, at the end of the day, being honest and caring isn't always easy, and it's rarely straightforward. You can be as much, but generally, again, you have to care about people's feelings at some level. People question your motives and assume, you want something, and sometimes even think you're naive for just doing it. Even that is another thing. Sometimes, what are you, an idiot? I have had that too. Or they thought you were this way, and then you do that, and it's like, huh? Why'd you do that? For what? But the truth is, as you grow older, the need to impress or prove yourself to others fades. It's kind of like watching that movie Samurai with Tom Cruise, when the guy said there was too many minds to matter, or whatever it is. But the whole point, the guy said, you have too many minds. I think he was teaching him how to fight as a samurai. And when he said you stop thinking about so many, and just focus on what you're doing, you'll be so much better off, and you'll probably be at peace with whatever you're doing. So what remains is the desire to be at peace with you and at peace with others, and to live in the way that doesn't compromise your values. And yes, you can close your eyes and put your head on your pillow and not have to be out on a limb wondering, what the heck did I just say today, and how am I going to remember that tomorrow? If you're doing good for the sake of doing good, and if you're being honest because it feels right, then you're probably right. See how that works? And lastly, today was funny. I went to work, I came home, and coming home to chill or whatever it is, and I went into a grocery store, and I wanted to pick up these special things. Anyhow, I got those special things. Okay, they're no, I'm not gonna say. Anyhow, I picked up the before I went in the store. I met this lady outside. Now, many people have said that these people are often, who are begging, don't need the money, and you shouldn't give them any money because it starts this and it starts that. But it was so cold. It was like -8 Celsius today, with a wind chill factor probably making it more like -14 or something. Like, it was like your hands out of your pocket within 4 seconds. It's feeling really, really cold. And this woman was just sitting on the side of this place. I don't think the seat was heated, but she didn't seem to be too affected by just sitting there. And I walk up, and I'm going past her. I said, oh boy, this girl's gonna think I got money. I ain't got nothing. Like, I ain't got it really, but whatever. She looks at me and she goes, I tried to avoid eye contact Just because sometimes I do give, and sometimes it's just not for it. Like, I don't. Who am I, anyways, right? So, needless to say, she goes, "Sir, can you help me?" And she's young. She looked like she's a Syrian. And I was shocked. She's probably the youngest person that I've ever seen that's not downtown Toronto begging, panhandling with a pair of Chuck Taylors on and baggy ripped jeans or something. But like I think there's young people like that downtown. But up here, I didn't expect to see somebody so young that looked like they could just be in high school or just out of high school. She says, "Can you please help me?" And I said to her, usually, I guess I just said, "Beck, you dig in your pocket and give them something." She says, "Can you please help me?" And I said, "What would you like?" She goes, I have no papers. And, it's kind of strange, somebody, I didn't ask you that. Her English was pretty good. No, I said, "How can I help you? And if you could just give me some." She goes, "In the store?" I go, "No, no, what would you like? What do you need?" And she says, "Just some help." I said, "Okay, fine." And it's kind of weird because usually I wouldn't even question in person that situation. I would just give them whatever it is. But I know that sometimes people do throw money at them, but it's interesting to stop and actually seriously stop, because you don't think the person's going to jump all over you and wipe the dirt hand on their face or something like that. You just kind of want to go here and go, or "Hi, bless you," and blah blah blah, and give them whatever it is. But I actually stopped, which is the first time in a long time, I guess, I did that, and it felt different. It felt like you're humanizing the person, even if they're being dishonest. It's a different kind of conversation that you can actually have with the individual. Maybe other people do it, and I'm just crazy, and it's the first time I really did it. I mean, I know I've stopped off and I've bought people like rice and corned beef and some onions and all that, because they told me all the stuff they wanted, right? But it was different to actually just stop and actually have the person think for a second. And it wasn't like at least the look on their face wasn't like, "Oh, was this guy an idiot? He doesn't know that I just want money." No, but it was to make a connection and actually ask them what they needed, and they actually thought, and it was a different. And I'm probably not telling you exactly what they said verbatim properly, but the point was, it was interesting to actually have a conversation with someone that I would usually probably try to make the conversation really quick with. Anyhow, that's where I will end it. This episode title was, or is, Honesty, Caring, and How It Shapes Who You Are, or who you'll become. Anyhow, this is You're Probably Right on MCM. Take care. Hey, come check out You're Probably Right podcast. Society is getting more unpredictable every day, but at the same time, predictable in its unpredictability. Say that 4 times real fast. Come with me as I attempt to find clarity in all the fog while staying way outside the box and kicking the box way down the road with my size 12 docs. I use the Bible, experience, education, fortune, misfortune, life's lessons, life's mistakes to sort through all the mess. I talk about news, God, God, self-help, sports, sickness, health, music, parenting, love, humbleness, hurt, pain, joy, and all the things that might make you say, I never thought of it that way. Hopefully, anyway. Also, I take a stab at answering tough and not so tough questions, and all the while understand that, listen, sometimes you end up in the hot seat and there's no thermostat. Well, that's how it is here. And because there's no topic, very few topics off the table, Torontonians will understand that Doug Ford reference there. Hopefully the podcast will be helpful and uplifting. And hey, maybe you'll find your own private Idaho here somewhere. Hope to see you soon.